Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into something both intriguing and powerful: how to leave an unforgettable impact on someone. Specifically, we're talking about the 10 surprising moves that will leave him missing you every day. These aren't just typical tricks. These are the moves that spark genuine attraction, foster deep emotional connections, and make him crave your presence physically, mentally, and emotionally. In relationships, it's often the subtle gestures, the unspoken energy, and the confidence you exude that truly make the difference. Let's explore how you can harness that power to keep his mind and heart focused on you. Imagine this: you're with him, but not just in the way you expect. You're not simply present physically. There's something else that draws him closer, something magnetic that he can explain but can't ignore. It's the kind of pull that begins subtly, like a quiet current that gradually picks up strength, pulling him toward you until he's completely captivated by your presence. What is it about this type of connection that makes it so irresistible, so intense? It's not about what you're doing, it's about how you're making him feel. You've mastered the art of maintaining your own life, your independence, while still making him feel like he's a crucial part of it. Think about it for a moment. How often have you given yourself fully, lost yourself in someone else's world, only to find that something shifts? You give up a little too much of yourself, and before long, the relationship starts to feel unbalanced. He becomes used to having your attention, and the magic begins to fade. But when you pull back just a little, when you remind him that you have your own life, your own passions, your own space, something changes. Something changes. It's subtle. He notices the absence. When you're not always available, when you're not always there, something inside him shifts. He begins to wonder, to crave the moments when you do give him your time, your energy, and your attention. This space, this delicate balance of being present yet not fully consumed, keeps the tension alive. It ignites a desire in him to pursue you, to chase after something that feels elusive. He starts to want you not just because you're there, but because he realizes that when you're with him, you're fully engaged, giving him something unique. It's the same principle that applies to all types of attraction. When you let someone feel the absence of you, when they realize they can't always have access to you, it makes the moments when they do get close all the more intense. They don't take you for granted. They cherish the time they spend with you, because they've come to understand that you are someone who has a life of your own. This doesn't mean you're distant or indifferent. It means you've mastered the delicate balance of being an important part of his life without letting your identity be entirely wrapped up in him. But what's truly fascinating about this dynamic is that it doesn't just build tension, it builds respect. He begins to see you as someone who is strong, someone who has a life and a purpose beyond him. The more you show him that you can stand on your own, the more respect he has for you. And with respect comes desire. There's something inherently sexy about someone who knows who they are and what they want, someone who is comfortable in their own skin. You become someone he can't quite figure out, and the intrigue that builds around you only deepens his attraction. This shift is subtle but incredibly powerful. The more you keep a part of yourself for you, your time, your energy, your attention, the more he becomes obsessed with wanting to be the one to break through that carefully guarded boundary. He starts to realize that you're not just someone who gives, but someone who holds back just enough to make him work for your affection. The chase becomes thrilling for him, and the moments when you choose to be with him become even more meaningful. He wants to be the one you choose to spend your time with, and that desire begins to grow, not out of need, but out of a genuine craving for you. Now, don't mistake this for playing games. This isn't about manipulating his emotions or being cold and distant. It's about creating a healthy dynamic, one where both of you are independent but still drawn together by genuine connection. It's about having a life that's rich and fulfilling, without relying on him for validation. This kind of independence makes you more desirable, more intriguing, because you're not looking for his approval. You've already validated yourself. When he realizes that, he starts to see you not just as someone to be with, but someone to respect, to appreciate, and, most importantly, to desire. The key here is balance. You don't want to pull away completely, leaving him wondering if you care at all. Instead, you want to create just enough distance for him to feel the impact of your absence, but also enough closeness to remind him of the bond you share. This delicate dance keeps the relationship fresh, keeps the desire alive, and keeps him constantly coming back for more. He'll crave the moments when you do choose to be with him, when you make the effort to be present in the relationship. But it's the times when you're not around that will truly ignite something in him. He'll start to miss the way you light up the room, the way you make him feel when you're close. That absence, that space, creates a longing within him that can't easily be extinguished. The more he feels that longing, the more he'll want to bridge the gap, to close the distance, to make the most of the time you choose to spend together. It's in this space of wanting, of desiring, that true connection begins to flourish. You've sparked his interest, not just by being with him, but by reminding him that there's always something more to discover, something more to yearn for. When you maintain your independence, you don't just make him miss you, you make him want you in ways he can't fully explain. And in that desire, in that longing, you'll find the most powerful connection of all. There's something undeniably magnetic about the mysterious. It's the kind of energy that holds attention without trying too hard. The kind that lingers in the air, leaving behind a sense of longing. Imagine this. You're with him, sharing a moment, yet there's this unspoken aura that makes him want to know more, to dive deeper into your world. The power of mystery isn't just about what you hide. It's about what you allow him to discover piece by piece. From the very first interaction, you can feel the shift. There's a subtle tension in the air, one that isn't loud but quiet, powerful in its restraint. You've caught his attention, not by laying everything out on the table, but by keeping certain parts of yourself just beyond his reach. The more you hold back, the more intense his curiosity grows. It's as though you've opened a door, but you're standing in front of it, leaving him to wonder what lies beyond. The thing about mystery is, it creates a sense of anticipation that no amount of overt attention can replicate. When you share just enough of yourself, when you give him a glimpse of your world, but not all of it, he can't help but feel the desire to uncover more. It's this emotional teasing that leads him to think about you when you're not around, replaying the moments in his mind, wondering about the parts of you that remain just out of his reach. Every word you speak, every laugh you share, carries with it the promise of more depth, more connection, more intimacy. But it's not immediate, and that is where the power lies. As the days go by, you begin to notice subtle shifts in his behavior. He's not as casual as he once was. His texts linger a little longer. His glances hold a little more meaning. He's trying to figure you out, but the more he tries, the more elusive you become. This keeps him coming back for more. You haven't said much, yet somehow you've said everything. Each interaction with you feels like a chapter in a book he can't put down. He's drawn into your world, captivated by the depth that he's yet to understand fully. This energy isn't just about physical attraction, it's about creating an experience that he can't shake. Every interaction with you feels unique, unpredictable, and exciting. You don't need to constantly reassure him of your interest or lay out all your cards for him to see. Instead, you let him chase, let him wonder, let him unravel the layers slowly. There's power in withholding, in knowing when to reveal just enough and when to keep something for later. But this doesn't mean playing games in a manipulative sense. It's about owning your power. It's about knowing that you are a force, someone who doesn't need to overshare to be desirable. You become someone who's unforgettable, because every moment with you feels like a treasure trove of moments yet to be fully discovered. It's this elusiveness that drives him wild, because he can never fully capture you, and that's what keeps him coming back. It's easy to think that in a relationship, we have to give everything away. Our thoughts, our feelings, our desires. But mystery allows you to create a space that's entirely yours, a realm that's both alluring and off limits. This isn't about hiding your true self, but rather about revealing yourself in such a way that makes him crave to know you more. When he does catch a glimpse of that side of you, it feels even more profound, more intimate. You've made him work for it, and that's what makes it all the more satisfying when you allow him to get closer. This dynamic doesn't just keep him intrigued, it makes him want to pursue you, to dive deeper into what makes you tick. And in the process, He starts seeing you in different light, not just as someone he spends time with, but as someone who ignites a fire within him. The mystery doesn't go away. It grows, weaving its way deeper into the fabric of your connection, creating a bond that's hard to break, impossible to forget. And it's in this lingering desire in the chase that a deeper intimacy begins to take form, one that he can't resist. You might think, what do I really need to do to keep him interested? The answer is simple. Don't give it all away. Let him feel the thrill of discovery, the excitement of never quite knowing what's next. It's that feeling of what comes next that drives him to want to be around you more, making him think of you even when you're apart. When you pull back just enough, when you keep part of yourself shrouded in mystery, you don't just keep him interested, you make him desperate to uncover all the layers that lie beneath the surface. And when he does, well, he won't forget it. There's a certain kind of power in being mysterious. It's the art of being just out of reach, of keeping a part of yourself tucked away until he's earned the right to see it. It creates an intimacy unlike any other, one that keeps him coming back day after day because the allure of what's hidden becomes impossible to resist. There's something magnetic about truly connecting with someone on a deeper level, and it's that connection that makes every touch, every glance, and every word carry so much more weight. When you focus on building an emotional bond, you are not just sharing your thoughts or feelings. You're inviting him into a space where he can feel safe, understood, and wanted. And here's the thing. When you create that kind of emotional intimacy, he won't be able to think about anything else. He will find himself drawn to you, craving not only your presence, but the deeper connection you've nurtured. It starts with understanding that true intimacy doesn't happen instantly. It's about the small moments, the little details that show you're paying attention, that you genuinely care about who he is. This goes beyond asking about his day. It's about engaging with him on a level where he feels comfortable being vulnerable, where he can share parts of himself that he may not share with anyone else. And when he lets his guard down like that, it's powerful, not just for him, but for the relationship as a whole. You see, when you allow him to open up emotionally, when you give him the space to be himself, you begin to cultivate a deeper attraction. The more he shares, the more he becomes invested, and the more he's likely to seek out that emotional connection with you time and time again. But it's not just about listening. It's about responding in a way that makes him feel seen, heard, and valued. It's in these moments that the subtle shifts happen. The way he looks at you differently, the way he lingers a little longer than usual, as if he's reluctant to let go of that emotional closeness. But here's the catch. Emotional intimacy isn't just about being a good listener. It's about knowing when to speak, knowing when to push the boundaries of the conversation, just enough to make him see things from a different perspective. It's about creating a space where he feels both seen and challenged, where you can provide a sense of balance and excitement that doesn't just cater to his needs, but also keeps him intrigued. This back and forth dance, where both of you are emotionally in tune with one another, is what lays the groundwork for a deeper physical connection. The beauty of this emotional intimacy is that it doesn't have to be expressed in grand gestures or declarations. It's found in the quiet moments, like when he looks at you and you can see the vulnerability in his eyes. It's the way he touches you after sharing something personal, a subtle confirmation that he trusts you. Emotional intimacy thrives in those unspoken moments, and it's in those moments that you realize just how much of an impact you're having on him. But what really changes everything is when that emotional bond starts to seep into your physical interactions. When the emotional intimacy is strong, the touch becomes different. It's not just a casual brush of the hand, it's a deliberate act, a way of expressing something deeper. Every touch becomes a statement of connection, a reminder that you're not just physically close but emotionally entwined. He'll begin to crave not only the closeness you offer in these moments, but the way it makes him feel safe, desired, and connected in ways he's never known before. You can feel the change in the air when this emotional intimacy takes hold. It's like an invisible thread pulling you closer, an invisible force that draws you into each other's orbit. Every glance is charged with meaning. Every gesture holds significance. It's in the way he looks at you, his eyes filled with a mix of desire and admiration. He's no longer just interested in your body. He's craving the way you make him feel when he's near you. And when this connection deepens, it's impossible to ignore the magnetic pull between you both, one that's far beyond just physical attraction. And then, when you combine this emotional closeness with those intimate moments, something magical happens. The intensity of the connection shifts. It's no longer just about what's happening on the surface. It's about the way you make him feel on the inside. This deeper emotional bond becomes the foundation for something more. As the emotional intimacy builds, so does the physical attraction, gradually but irresistibly. He won't be able to resist you, because the connection you've created isn't just based on looks or surface-level attraction. It's something much deeper, something that draws him to you time and time again. He starts to need you, not just for the moments when you're close, but for the way you make him feel, the way you've unlocked parts of him he never thought he'd share. It's in this space where the emotional and physical meet, that true intimacy takes form. The craving grows, and before long, he's thinking about you even when you're not around. He'll start to seek out those moments when you're together, because he's not just looking for your touch. He's looking for the emotional connection that comes with it. He begins to realize that you're not just someone he's attracted to, you're someone he can't live without. This emotional intimacy is a game changer, something that goes beyond the surface, creating a bond so strong that it transcends physical attraction. When you open up emotionally, when you make him feel truly seen and heard, he'll be drawn to you in ways you never expect. And in the end, this emotional connection becomes the foundation for a deeper, more fulfilling relationship. One where intimacy, both emotional and physical, takes on a whole new meaning. There's a subtle power in being able to read the room, knowing when to give, when to pull back, and when to let the tension simmer. In relationships, it's often the moments of silence, the pauses that speak louder than any words could. You might think that being constantly available is what keeps the connection alive, but it's actually the opposite. There's something incredibly magnetic about showing him just enough, but not all at once. The mystery of what you might do next, how you might respond, is what keeps him on his toes, yearning for more. It's this unpredictable nature, this ability to keep him intrigued and always guessing, that will leave him thinking about you long after you've walked away. The art of being unpredictable isn't about playing games or being elusive. It's about maintaining an element of surprise in how you show up in the relationship. You don't always give in to every request, every desire, and every whim. You don't make yourself constantly available. Instead, you maintain a bit of mystery, leaving him wondering what you'll do next. This unpredictability is far from negative. It's what keeps the attraction alive. When you make him wonder about you, when you keep him guessing, it creates a sense of excitement and desire that builds over time. He'll begin to look at you differently when he can't predict what you'll do next. It's not about being cold or distant, but rather about showing him that you have your own life, your own desires, your own goals. When you keep him on his toes, when you don't give him the same predictable responses every time, it heightens his curiosity about you. He starts to crave the moments when you do give him your attention, when you choose to show him the affection he's been yearning for. That uncertainty, that tension makes the moments of connection all the more meaningful, all the more intense. There's something deeply seductive about not always being what he expects. If you're always predictable, if he can always anticipate what you'll do, what you'll say, how you'll react, the relationship can start to feel stale. The spark begins to fade because there's no mystery left to uncover. But when you keep him intrigued, when you throw in a little unpredictability into the mix, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, he's not just waiting for your next move. He's wondering what it might feel like to discover more of who you are, to peel back the layers and see what's beneath. Unpredictability works because it creates a sense of anticipation. He doesn't just want to see you because you're available. He wants to see you because he never knows exactly what will happen when you're together. The uncertainty adds an edge to the connection, making every moment feel charged with possibility. Will you show him the playful side of you today? Or will you keep things a little more reserved? Will you surprise him with a new experience? Or will you pull him closer with your words? It's that unpredictability that makes every moment you share an adventure in itself. This isn't to say that unpredictability should be used recklessly. It's not about being elusive just for the sake of it, but rather about embracing the fluidity of the connection. It's about allowing the space for spontaneity, for surprise, and for moments that keep the energy fresh. In relationships, when the energy becomes too stagnant, when the routine takes over, the connection can begin to feel like a chore. But when there's always something new to explore, when the relationship constantly evolves, the desire and attraction never wane. What happens when you master the art of unpredictability? He will find himself constantly thinking about you, wondering what's next. He will crave the unpredictability because it's tied to the excitement you. No longer will he see you as just another person in his life. He will begin to see you as someone who keeps him on the edge of his seat. And let's be honest, there's something incredibly powerful about making someone desire you because they never know exactly what you'll do next. But let's dive a little deeper into why this works. The human mind craves novelty. When something feels new and exciting, it triggers a release of dopamine, the feel-good hormone. So, every time you keep him guessing, every time you do something unexpected, you're not just keeping the connection alive, you're actually making him crave more of it. You're playing into his instincts, making him yearn for what comes next. The anticipation builds, and with it, his desire to be close to you grows. The unpredictability doesn't just keep him intrigued. It makes him feel more connected to you because he's actively engaged in discovering more about you in the relationship. Imagine what it's like for him when he can't predict your next move. It creates a space where he feels like there's always something to look forward to, always something new to experience. That excitement, that thrill of the unknown, becomes a part of the attraction. And it's not just about the big gestures or the grand surprises. It's in the small, unexpected moments that the magic truly happens. The way you laugh at something he didn't expect. The way you look at him when he's least expecting it. The way you express yourself in ways he's never seen before. The beauty of unpredictability in a relationship is that it allows for growth. As you keep him on his toes, he's continually learning more about you. He's not just getting used to one side of you. He's discovering different layers, different depths, different facets of your personality. This adds to the mystery, and with it, the desire. He becomes more and more intrigued by you because there's always something new to explore, something that keeps the relationship feeling fresh and exciting. So when you add unpredictability to the mix, when you embrace the tension of not always giving him exactly what he expects, you're doing more than just keeping things exciting. You're creating a dynamic that keeps the spark alive. You're making him want to discover more, feel more, and connect with you on a deeper level than ever before. There's a deep, untold power in the moments when you step back and give him space to truly miss you. It's easy to get swept up in the whirlwind of constant contact, to feel as though you need to be at his side all the time to keep the connection alive. But here's the twist. Distance, when used wisely, can ignite a deeper longing, a craving for your presence that won't fade. You might be wondering how this works, but I promise this is one of the most seductive secrets of all. Imagine this. You've spent some beautiful moments together, shared laughter, maybe even a deep, meaningful conversation. You've connected on a level that's more than just surface level. Now, picture stepping away for a while. Not in an abrupt or cold manner, but just enough space for him to reflect on what you shared, to truly feel the absence of you in his life. That subtle withdrawal, the space you create, starts to stir up feelings he wasn't even aware were there. The silence begins to speak louder than any conversation could, and suddenly his mind is filled with thoughts of you. This isn't about playing games or being distant for the sake of manipulation. This is about creating an atmosphere where he can truly appreciate you. Sometimes, we take for granted the closeness we share with someone, thinking that it will always be there. But when you step back, you introduce an element of mystery and intrigue that draws him back in. The distance between you doesn't create a gap, it creates anticipation. The longer he's left to wonder about you, the more he will miss your presence. And that longing, it's incredibly powerful. It's also about recognizing that too much closeness can sometimes lead to complacency. When someone is always within reach, it's easy to take them for granted. But when you create that distance, when you allow him to feel the absence of your energy, that's when he starts to truly appreciate what you bring to his life. It's like the pause between two powerful notes in a melody. The moment of silence makes the sound that comes after all the more beautiful. There's something incredibly captivating about the idea of longing for someone. It stirs up emotions that are hard to ignore, emotions that make him ache for your presence. It's a powerful form of attraction because it taps into his desire to reconnect, to experience once again the bond you share. But it's important to know when and how to create this space. The trick is to step away at the right moment. Not too soon, not too late. The key is balance. When you give him space, you're not withdrawing your affection entirely. You're simply pulling back just enough to make him realize how much he values what you share. But as the days go by, the yearning grows. At first, it's subtle. Maybe he finds himself thinking about you more than usual, remembering the little things you said. Then it builds. And soon he's texting, calling, perhaps even showing up unannounced, eager to reconnect. That's the magic of creating space. When you give him room to miss you, it cultivates a desire that can't be ignored. The moments apart become the fuel that reignites his longing for you. There's an undeniable attraction that comes with the feeling of being wanted. When he begins to miss you, it's not just about the physical absence. It's about the emotional impact you've had on his life. The space allows him to process the emotions he feels for you. He starts to appreciate the depth of your connection, the energy you bring to every interaction. And with that appreciation, the desire to draw closer to you intensifies. You don't need to constantly be there for him to know that you care. In fact, by stepping back, you're showing him that you have your own life, your own desires, and that your presence is something he needs to earn, something that should be cherished. There's a power in independence, a magnetism that comes from being someone who values themselves enough to not be available at every beck and call. It doesn't mean you love him any less. It simply means that you have boundaries, that you recognize the value of your own time and energy. What happens next is almost inevitable. As the days stretch on, as the space between you widens, he will begin to crave your energy more. He'll remember your laughter, the way you made him feel when you were together. And suddenly, he'll be searching for ways to bridge the gap, to come closer to you again. The longing becomes an itch he can't scratch, a desire that pushes him to act. And when he does finally return, you're simply allowing the natural rhythm of attraction to work its magic. The dance of closeness in space, the ebb and flow of connection creates a dynamic where both people feel valued and desired. You're showing him that you're not just someone who will always be there when he calls. You're someone who knows their worth, someone who has the ability to make him yearn for you in a way that feels deep and real. By allowing this space to exist, by letting him feel the absence of you, you're creating a bond that's even stronger. When you do come back together, the connection will feel more intense, more meaningful, because the time apart has allowed him to truly appreciate everything you offer, everything you bring to the table. And in that moment, when you're back in his presence, he'll remember just how much he values you and how much he missed you in ways words can't express. When you master this, when you allow the space to work its magic, you'll find that the relationship becomes richer, more fulfilling. The moments together become more cherished, and the longing, the desire becomes a force that strengthens the bond between you both. When you begin to realize how powerful the art of subtle attention can be, you unlock a whole new level of attraction and connection. There's something so intoxicating about giving just enough to make him want more, but never so much that it becomes overwhelming. It's the perfect balance that keeps him intrigued and yearning for your presence. This is a tactic not many truly understand, yet it can be incredibly effective in drawing him closer. And here's the secret. It's about creating a dance of subtle gestures and quiet moments, making him feel like he is slowly peeling back layers of your mystery. You're not laying everything on the table at once. Instead, you leave hints, you leave him wanting. And that desire, it's hard to resist. This approach doesn't just build suspense, it builds anticipation. Anticipation creates an invisible bond, one that ties him to the idea of you, making him fantasize about those moments when he can be close to you again. You don't need to flood his senses with constant attention, but instead, give him just enough of a glimpse into your world. When you give him pieces of yourself, leaving him wanting more, it amplifies his interest and makes him realize how much he misses those interactions. It's about knowing the power of a glance, a subtle touch, or a passing comment that lingers in his mind long after you've left. This is the beauty of creating space. It's not cold or indifferent. It's a form of magnetic attraction that draws him back to you. The art of leaving him desiring more is a skill. It requires you to understand the difference between being available all the time and keeping him intrigued enough to chase you. What happens when you leave him to wonder where you are, what you're doing, or who you might be talking to? It awakens a side of him that can't help but seek out the answers. The mystery of your presence becomes like a puzzle he's eager to solve, a puzzle that only you hold the key to. This subtle intrigue is what keeps him on his toes, wondering when he'll get another chance to experience the magic you offer. But here's the kicker. While you're mastering this art of subtlety, you're not making it about playing games. No, you're simply being who you are. You're confident in your own space, in your life, and you're not rushing to make him the center of your universe. You're showing him that your attention is something he must earn, something he must value. When you pull back just enough, you're demonstrating your worth, that you're not easily attainable, and that your presence is a privilege. And let's be honest, that sense of privilege is what gets him hooked in the most irresistible way. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that to keep someone close, you must always be available, always be giving. But in reality, the opposite is true. When you create this subtle distance, it makes him appreciate you on a deeper level. He begins to wonder about you, question your thoughts, and wonder why he hasn't heard from you in a while. It's the space you create that deepens his desire, and in turn makes him seek your presence with greater intensity. Now, imagine how this shifts the dynamic. When he's used to the constant communication, the endless availability, he might not realize just how precious your time is until you pull back. Suddenly, your absence is felt in a way that no amount of time spent together could replicate. He begins to feel the weight of your absence, and with it, an overwhelming urge to fill the void. This isn't about being distant for the sake of it. It's about creating a dynamic that makes him long for you in a way that's almost magnetic. In relationships, it's easy to become complacent when you're always around, but creating this space invites excitement and curiosity back into the picture. It keeps things fresh and unpredictable. It reminds him of the early days when the spark of attraction was new and untapped, and every conversation, every interaction was filled with possibility. By leaving him wanting more, you reignite that feeling. You bring back the energy that once defined your connection. The beauty of this approach is that it's not about hiding or playing hard to get. It's about making him appreciate what he has. It's about creating a relationship that's not defined by constant proximity, but by moments that are cherished and savored. And the more you allow him to wonder, the more he'll want to fill that gap with your presence. When you leave him wanting more, you're not giving up anything important. You're preserving the magic. You're not handing over all of yourself at once, but instead, revealing just enough to keep him craving more. There's a silent power in this kind of attraction, a power that comes from your ability to pull back and let him work for your attention. And when he works for it, the desire only grows stronger. You become the object of his thoughts, the one he can't quite get out of his mind, the one he longs to experience again. This subtle dance of giving and withholding is an art form. It keeps him engaged on his toes and invested in winning your attention. Because let's face it, when something is given too easily, it loses its value. But when it's rare, when it's something he has to work for, it becomes even more valuable in his eyes. You're not simply making him chase. You're making him realize that your presence, your energy, your love is something worth pursuing. And as you continue to master this delicate balance, watch how the dynamic between you shifts. Watch how the intensity of his attraction builds, how the moments spent together become more precious. When you give him the chance to miss you, to desire you, you unlock a power in your relationship that can't be replicated. It's the power of longing, of anticipation, and most importantly, the power of making him crave you more than ever.